Hello, friends. Welcome in to NBA Live here on this wonderful Thursday afternoon. We are presented to you, as always, by Superdraft Daily Fantasy. I got my Superdraft Blue going on the shelf behind me. We got the Superdraft Blue on the graphic here. And if you're looking at the YouTube description, next to me is Kyler Murray. But everybody knows that this is my good buddy, Joe Metz. Joe, how you doing?
Good. I'm a little more athletic than Kyler Murray, so I take it as a bit of an insult. But I'm doing well. Filling in for Kyle as he battles his power struggles with the wind going through the Midwest over the last couple of nights. We had wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour last night, so I'm lucky to even have power.
Yeah, I don't envy that situation. And I'll say you're certainly taller than Mr. Murray. I think I don't know actually about Kyle. We've never met in person, but
I don't know. But I mean, hey, speaking of height, happy birthday, Josh Kalachi, who's probably similar to Kyler
Murray. Shout out, Josh. Everybody loves Kalachi here at FTN, but we appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, a 4-game slate. Again, it was 5 to start, and the Bulls game was postponed earlier this week. So we're left with 4 games here on this Thursday, almost an hour for us to go through all of this leading up to lock of the main slate. Only that one game, Detroit at Indiana, going off right at lock. So, of course, we will be in the Discord throughout the night, updating ranks, reacting to news, etc. Speaking of news, Joe, since we have time here, the freaking COVID news, both NBA and NFL is just, it's terrible right now. And I know there's bigger concerns, in the big picture with the pandemic, of course, but with fantasy playoffs starting tonight on the NFL side, and obviously the COVID news for NBA has been hitting us hard over the last 10, 14 days. It just feels like, I guess maybe I'm directing this more at my teams that are starting the playoffs tonight. I don't feel good about it at all.
No, man, the importance of a first round bye this year in the fantasy playoffs is emphasized, for lack of a better word, but it's I'm not going to get too deep into the vaccine and the pandemic, obviously, but
yeah,
it's scary. The number of cases is scary, but the good thing is the number of cases going up, but hospitalizations are not following suit right now because of the vaccine. So I don't think we're going to see a league shut down. Again, I'm speaking with zero knowledge on this. I think it's just, frankly, it's that time of year where things go, it's every winter, flu season, things like that. And I think going forward, COVID is just going to be part of that. And that this being the first year with COVID, with fully teams with full capacity in their buildings and things like that, it's going to look a little different than it did last year, when at this point teams were at 20% capacity last year, so it wasn't as big of a concern. Where I think that's the bit of a difference. We'll see some changes in the protocols, but it's definitely providing some landmines for us to navigate.
Yeah, man. I mean, last thing about fantasy football, we had to unearth our COVID rules that we were using last year.
I know.
For these playoff weeks. So, getting back to the hoop side here, we touched on this when the box score was finalized from that G League game last night, and we said on the podcast, I bet we're gonna hear some Isaiah Thomas scuttlebutt today, and sure enough, Lakers. I think they have 5 or 6 guys in the protocols now.
Yeah, 5.
So Isaiah Thomas signed by the Lakers, and I imagine we see him in uniform tomorrow against the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I mean, dude, good for Isaiah Thomas. I like seeing him succeed. I think his story's great, and at the end of the day, sorry Zach, but he's a hooper. He is. He's kind of proven people wrong his entire career. So I'm not going to come out here and say he's going to make the All-Star team and take this Lakers team to the top, but at least provide shooting that they desperately need.
All I know is that ever since Danny Ainge screwed Isaiah Thomas out of that contract, they've had terrible luck. Terrible luck. So, I'm not saying that if I was in Danny's spot, I wouldn't have done the same thing. Like, I think it was probably best for the franchise, but I've always been rooting for IT, especially after everything's kind of fallen apart from where he was that All-Star season. Well, so here's some news. We've got a scratch here, Joe, and not COVID related. Malcolm Brogdon will sit out tonight, so that's a perfect segue into this first game.
TJ
McConnell's still out. So we have some big things to talk about here. Let's go ahead and just start with the Indiana side. And we'll check on what this does. I imagine, dude, like there's probably not a ton of minutes that we haven't had either Brogdon or TJ McConnell on the court for this team. McConnell is out. TJ Warren remains out. I believe Torrey Craig is questionable with a non-COVID illness.
I think
he was just ruled in.
I think I could be speaking out of turn.
You are correct. I just got the notification. Justin Holiday came back last night from his stint on the COVID list. I believe played 19 minutes. So I wouldn't have been surprised if he was going to sit tonight just for the conditioning, but no news on that yet. So that was just my own speculation this morning. So I want to run a little query here with Malcolm Brogdon and Timothy John off the court here for the Pacers. I imagine I'm going to get not very many minutes. Let's not start this early in the stream.
I think you should change the board in the back to not days without a muted mic, but days without Zach fumbling grammatically or something.
Shit, man. When you talk like an hour plus a day, like it's gonna happen at some point. But I did. I mean, the I don't have to repeat what I said when I was on with Adam on Monday, but I enjoyed going back and clipping that little misstep there. Unsurprisingly here, Joe, this is kind of what I thought would happen, and it's more minutes than I expected. Brad Wanamaker, 64 more minutes on the court than any other Pacer when you take Brogdon and TJ McConnell off. That's a 172-minute sample over 17 games. And I also think, unsurprisingly, only an 84-minute sample here, but the guy who benefits the most. And it's a huge margin over. Go ahead.
It's Karis LeVert, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Obviously the gut assumption is Brad Wanamaker slides into point guard. I mean, I think there is a very significant chance we just see Karis LeVert start at point guard and they throw a Torrey Craig in the starting lineup defensively for Cade Cunningham. Or a Jeremy Lamb, someone like I think there is a legitimate chance we see Karis LeVert at point guard, but I think regardless, like he is now arguably the strongest mid-tier play on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, the price is up, right, on DraftKings.
6.2 on FanDuel I think is going to cause for some extremely inflated ownership.
You have to love that, right?
On a site where like his 6.2 price tag. I mean. His 6.2 price tag right now is $100 more than David Duke. And this isn't a knock on David Duke. It's only $700 more than Alec Burks. It's $300 less than Patty Mills. Like, I mean, with all that Brooklyn value essentially unplayable on FanDuel because they were overpriced, you're now basically forced to play Brad Wanamaker at 3.6 on FanDuel, Karis LeVert at 6.2. And then mix and match with like maybe some Phoenix value or something because you really can't play that Brooklyn value. So I think Indiana is going to see a massive ownership spike, probably across the board, but specifically on FanDuel because of their pricing spectrum today.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think like that price for Karis on FanDuel, it would be really hard for me to get away from locking him over there. I think it's gonna be really interesting to see what his ownership turns out to be on DraftKings. I mentioned that 84-minute sample size with Brogdon and TJ off the court for Karis. That's over 11 games, but 37.2% usage in that time. So, like, we don't even need his usage to be that high. Like, low 30s would do the trick at 7.5 on DK.
This, obviously, he has Sabonis. Miles Turner will pick up some more offensive responsibility, but I think this is the situation now, what we're going to see most similar to Bubble LeVert when he was with Brooklyn, and just doing what, like, he will probably touch the ball 100 plus times today. I would not be surprised in that scenario. So LeVert is an easy core play for me on FanDuel. I think it's 7.5. I think he's a very strong play on DraftKings. I think the problem with his 7.5 price is, can you get there? With Kevin Durant 1 at 12.2, 12.3, whatever he is, and other options on the slate with 50K in salary relative to 60 on FanDuel. But hey, a min price Brad Wanamaker will certainly help you get there if you want.
I mean, that's what I was gonna say. Like, now you've got Wanamaker, and I think like another guy we've got to talk about now is Jeremy Lamb, who has been pretty much out of this rotation over the last few games. I think, maybe getting in there for some single-digit minutes. Let me pull up what he's been doing. Only 3 minutes last night against Milwaukee, but into the mid to high teens, 3 of his last 5 games. And we know Jeremy Lamb, certainly not the same player he was through his first few years in the league, somewhat of a spark plug, whether he was off the bench or starting, was a good fantasy producer. And overall, right at a fantasy point per minute on DraftKings so far this year. The minutes just haven't been there. So I think with his guard forward eligibility on DK at 3.3, if he's going to get 18 to 22 minutes, and I think there's upside for maybe some more time there for Jeremy Lamb, he kind of stands out as a really solid value for me as well.
And De'Aaron Fox protocols. This was there. They had Marvin Bagley, Terrence Davis, Alvin Gentry, and I believe there's one other player in the protocols. And Josh, Josh Frick in the Discord asking about Justin Holiday. I think Justin Holiday will see an uptick in minutes. We've seen his ability in years past to be a near 40-minute per game player and produce fine for his price. Not necessarily a strong point per minute player, but when you play 40 minutes, you can average 0.6, 0.7 fantasy points per minute at his price and be perfectly viable. He'll get incrementally more shots, but I think his opportunity is going to come if they shift Karis LeVert off the wing up to point guard, which will vacate some wing minutes for him. I don't think he'll see a big bump with Malcolm Brogdon out. My concern is that with Brogdon out, they'll want more offense, even against Detroit, where I think they could lean, like you said, more on Jeremy Lamb than they would on Justin Holiday. So I think, like, kind of to sum up my long-winded answer, Josh, like my priority for Indiana is going to be different on both sites. Like FanDuel, it's by far and away Karis LeVert at 6.2, followed by Brad Wanamaker at 3.6. On DraftKings, it's Brad Wanamaker at 3K, followed by Karis LeVert at 7.5. I don't think anybody's going to play Sabonis, especially at 10.5 on DraftKings. I don't think you can get there, but 9.2 on FanDuel, it's not impossible to get there whatsoever. I have a lineup right now with him, Karis LeVert, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant. And it's comfortable because he has that center eligibility, which helps a lot. But then from there, I would definitely prioritize Jeremy Lamb over Justin Holiday, strictly from an offensive upside standpoint.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, again, like the thing for me with Holiday, Justin, that is, because we'll get to Aaron later. I worry about the minutes with Justin Holiday. Like they're not short on wings here, right? And
O'Shea Brissett's still there. Like, I mean, they
Keegan Martin, Torrey Craig. Like, I just don't. I don't know if Justin Holiday is the one I'm running to with him coming off the big break, being in the COVID protocols.
Yeah.
Like,
that's fair.
He was questionable for a game, and then they sat him because they said his conditioning wasn't there. And then, I mean, this is a guy who plays 28 minutes a game. Only got 19 last night on the back-to-back with him. Like, he's clearly not 100% or hasn't been. Like, they would be playing him his full minutes. So I'm not just rushing to Justin Holiday, but certainly more in play. Like, I didn't really think we could play him with any confidence before this news. So he's just kind of creeping into the playable range for me. I do think it also makes a guy like Chris Duarte a little bit more viable for me. I haven't been super high on Duarte ever since Karis LeVert came back, after the first 2 weeks of the season. But we've seen him, like, he's shot dependent, right? He's probably not going to get much more than 8 to 10, 11 shots. Maybe room for a couple more with Brogdon out. But, if you're putting Jeremy Lamb into this rotation, he's a guy that's never shy to shoot either. So slight upgrade for Duarte, but keep in mind that you're just relying on this guy to make, probably 50% of his shots that he gets in this game. So Yeah, I mean, we'll probably circle back on the Pacers as we get closer to lock, but
Yeah.
let's flip to the Detroit side now. Cade Cunningham up top. Obviously, this team only played one game so far since Jeremy Grant went down. I believe they were the game that got postponed on Tuesday, right? They were scheduled to play the Bulls.
Yes, the Bulls. Yep.
So that first time out against Brooklyn, we saw Cade play 36 minutes, 52 DK points, 26 points, 8 boards, 6 assists, 4 stocks. So at 8.6 here on DraftKings, still at the 1.3 multiplier on Superdraft, 7.9 on FanDuel. Is Cade a priority for you on this slate?
Priority, no, because of Karis LeVert now. But an extremely strong play. To plug prize picks quickly, like Cade was one of the first prize picks I jumped on over 33 fantasy points. That's low. That's really low. So I know there is some volatility here, some efficiency issues, but I think Cade's an uber strong play. He has triple-double, double-double upside. Adam noted in his first look that he touched the ball 98 times last game. For reference, those 98 touches, like Nikola Jokic led the league in touches per game last year. I think it was like 102, 103.
Mm-hmm.
He's with Jeremy Grant out, especially now, doing everything for that team. So I like Cade a lot. A priority, though, I can't say he is. I'm because of his price being now 400 higher than Karis LeVert on DraftKings, his price at 7.9 being 1,700 higher than Karis LeVert. I think I would still rather go Bradley Beal for $300 more on FanDuel than I would go Cade Cunningham. But that's not to say he's like, if I'm running 3 lineups, I would want one Cade Cunningham in there.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And obviously we'll get to Beal. That's the last night, dude. It's the last stream of the week for me.
The damn board, dude.
Yeah, we'll get to that Washington side. Spencer Dinwiddie out there, and Bradley Beal coming on a little bit with his fantasy production. 30 real points last night in that Kings matchup. Much tougher tonight. I think if I had to choose, Joe, I think I'm going Cade. So do we want to? I owe you 20 for the head-to-head lunch bet that we did the other day.
Right.
Double or nothing it here. Beal versus Cade Cunningham.
DraftKings points?
Sure.
Let's do it. I'm in.
All right. We'll put it on the board. And look at the rest of this Detroit team here. And we were talking before we went live about Isaiah Stewart, who almost touched the 40-minute mark, 39 and a half minutes against Brooklyn in that first game without Jeremy Grant. Obviously, Kelly Olynyk still out for this team. So the front court is fairly thin here, going up against the likes of Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis. We know Goga Bitadze is down in the G League because we're talking about that Isaiah Thomas game last night. Goga had 38 points on the other side of that game. So at 5.7 on DK, 1.5x on Superdraft, and 6K flat on FanDuel. What are you doing with Isaiah Stewart? Are these minutes for real?
I don't know. That's the thing is, like, you would almost think they have to be because of how thin their front court is. Josh just asked me a good question. I'll get to after this. But I don't know if 40 minutes is for real, but I definitely think 34 to 36 should be an expectation going forward, assuming he stays out of foul trouble. This is a matchup where I think he could be presented with some challenges, but you take Isaiah Stewart off the court. Who the hell is going to counter Miles Turner on the glass? Who's
Trey Lyles can try, right?
like good luck. Trey Lyles is an absolute twig compared to these guys. Like, I think he has to, assuming he stays out of foul trouble and doesn't like screw up on the court too much. I think he has to play 35 minutes. My concern is his price. Like, at that point, again, in a vacuum, Karis LeVert's $200 more than him. That is egregious on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I know you said it. Let me double check so I don't misquote. 5.7's fine.
Yeah.
I think if you have Şengün in your lineup right now, hoping Christian Wood's out, if he's in and you can just direct pivot to Isaiah Stewart, that would be something I am comfortable with.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be up to, like, do we get the news on Christian Wood?
That's the problem.
That game goes off an hour after.
We need that within the next 35 minutes. I think I'm fine with Isaiah Stewart, but I don't think I'm anything more than fine with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of there in the same spot with him as well. Like, him being center only on DraftKings is a little tough. Like, we'll talk about Nick Claxton in the next game. Certainly Joel Embiid, I think, is kind of an interesting low-owned play. We'll get to DeAndre Ayton in the last game, and you mentioned Şengün. So it's hard for me to say that Isaiah Stewart is absolutely in one lineup for me. He's not that much of a priority today. But again, if you believe those minutes are like, if he's going to see upper 30s in minutes at 5-7, then he's a better play than I think both you and I are projecting him to be now. But let's talk a little bit about Trey Lyles, because we talked about that front court that they're going up against, right? So Sabonis and Turner, one of the bigger front courts, and I'll credit Jake with this because he was also messaging me before we went live. Are you shocked if Trey Lyles gets the start at the 4 tonight? Because otherwise it's Saddiq Bey guarding Sabonis.
I think he has to.
I mean, but we say that
from a size standpoint, like you can't have Saddiq Bey guard. Saddiq Bey's like they're probably gonna want Saddiq Bey on Karis LeVert.
Mm-hmm. So
I almost think you have to start Trey Lyles. That being said, you certainly don't have to start him in your DFS lineups tonight. That is not someone that, with the value on DraftKings and now with the value on FanDuel and the Pacers, you just don't need to get there.
Mm-hmm. I think in multiple lineups, I have some interest in getting to Trey Lyles to a certain extent. They're not going crazy, of course, for the reasons you just mentioned. Like, number one, he's Trey Lyles. But this guy has shown a ceiling throughout his career, and even in the recent, like you can look at his game log and see, not really recently, but you go back to the games, right around Thanksgiving, right? When he's getting mid-20s in minutes, he's showing you any sort of fantasy point output from like 17 to 28, right? But then you see 15 minutes, 20 DK, 17 minutes, 28 DK. Like, this is a guy who can produce at well over a fantasy point per minute when his shot is falling and he's hitting the boards. I think that's something they need tonight. Like, it's going to be him, or you're going to see some elevated minutes from Josh Jackson, or like Saddiq Bey gets there. Like, he's still sub 5K on DK, and maybe both of these can be true. The Pistons are going to get absolutely blasted tonight by the Pacers. I think they're still double-digit underdogs here. So, I think when you're attacking this game and thinking about the Pistons front court, taking into account what you think is going to happen here, as the Pacers now drop down to 9.5-point home favorites after that Brogdon news. And we mentioned Saddiq Bey. Let's also kind of lump in. Actually, let's not lump in, because I want to have a separate discussion on this other guy. But with Saddiq Bey, this guy's been horrendous from a fantasy standpoint over the last 3-4 weeks. Bad. You cannot roster him, and the price reflects that now.
Yeah.
So at this sub 5K price tag on DraftKings, would you get any? Like, how many lineups are you just not considering him at all?
I'd have to get to at least 5 lines, probably 10. And it's because this is a pretty value-ridden slate right now.
Yeah.
And Saddiq Bey, even last year, his production was really predicated on offensive efficiency. That just has not been. He's shot less than 32%. Oh, dear Lord. He shot less than 30%, 32% in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his last 7 games. He's not doing much peripherally, even with Jeremy Grant out. Like that's going to Cade Cunningham. So
Christian Wood out. Şengün back to back. Let's go.
That's huge.
Sorry to interrupt.
You're fine. But that's what that also now Daniel Tice, stone minimum. But I think I don't think I will be getting to any Saddiq Bey. I would have to be running probably at least 10 lineups.
So let's talk about this guy quick, and this is on me. We've spent 25 minutes on this first game now, so we'll pick up the pace here a little bit. But Hamidou Diallo, talk about a guy who's been shooting above 40% in each of his last 4 games, not on any sort of crazy volume, but we saw him get the start last game. Big time foul trouble in the first half. I believe played the entire third quarter. And then in the blowout, I don't think I would have to double check the rotations there. I don't think got a ton of time in the fourth, given his 20 minutes on the night. If he gets the start again, man, guard forward eligible at 4.3. I don't think he's picking up a ton of ownership. I'll pull up what Kyle's got down right now. I mean, he's got him at 16% on DK. I think it's really easy if you're running 20 max, 150 max. you can double up the field on Diallo really easily, and I wouldn't have any issue getting a little bit more than that. At 4.3, I think he stands out to me as kind of one of my, I don't know how sneaky it is, but it feels a little sneaky on this 4-game slate.
Yeah, I like it. I definitely don't hate it. Not a single entry lineup play for me, but we have seen some really efficient permanent production over the last 2 weeks, and we've seen his minutes kind of steadily grow a little bit. I don't think 30 minutes is really okay. It's probably ignorant to say it's not within the range of outcomes. It is, but it's a very low percentage outcome. I think if I'm running 5 lineups, I want a Diallo. I'd much rather get to him than a Sadiq Bey.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you on that. So, and you know, before we leave this game, you can Frank Jackson if you must. You can Saban Lee. I think it kind of like they proved that Saban Lee is going to be a part of this rotation going forward with Jeremy Grant out, Kelly Olynyk still out. This team just has to slide smaller. And especially if, you know, Saban Lee is going to get the blowout run here if the Pacers do take care of business. So if I was running 150, those guys would make my pool. Not sure how much I would actually get to. The next game going off at 7:30, Philadelphia at Brooklyn, the best game on paper, I think, of the night. Philadelphia, Furkan Korkmaz. I mean, this team's still dealing with some COVID issues too. Korkmaz, Niang out. I think Furkan's not actually in the protocols, but obviously Simmons still out for this team. And we saw some of the sites proactively price up guys like Tobias Harris and Andre Drummond, I think expecting maybe an Embiid rest day here.
Yeah.
No news so far, under an hour until that game locks. So you've got Embiid up top on DraftKings, 11-4. Tobias Harris, 8-7. And then we'll just surpass Drummond here to throw him out unless we get Embiid news. Tyrese Maxey, 6'9", Seth Curry, 6'2". So, like, I know this game has a very close, like the closest spread by a lot on the slate. Also just slightly the highest game total. But with these prices on Philly, like, can you prioritize any of these guys?
I don't think so. I think Tyrese Maxey is actually my favorite play on Philly. Brooklyn, you can really attack anywhere, especially now. But I think price baked in, like, you know, Tyreek said in the Discord, Maxey's their second best offensive player right now. It's not Tobias Harris to me.
Okay.
It's just a matter of whether or not he's going to get the shots because his usage goes way down with Embiid on the court. Efficiency goes down. But I think the fact that that's who I'm most likely to take a shot on this slate kind of just illustrates how low I am on this team. I mean, Maxey's projecting for over 20% ownership right now on FanDuel. I'd rather play Derrick Rose for $200 less. I don't think that's particularly close. But this is just kind of an ugly side of the game. This is the Nets run a much faster pace than the Sixers, who are bottom 3 in the league, but with the Nets missing everyone who pushes the pace, this could just be a really ugly game.
Yeah, I think like it's really tough for me to get to any of these Philly guys, certainly in one lineup. Like, I think I'm either going like the top or the bottom here, like Embiid at 11-4. What I think, let me double check, but it seems like my feeling all day has been that he would be really low owned. Kyle's got him projected right now for 19% ownership. So like on a 4-game slate, Embiid going up against Nick Claxton and Blake Griffin and, you know, probably not any Kevin Durant, but then like Day'Ron Sharpe. If he's sub 20%, like I think that's pretty attractive in GPPs, but like with Durant on the other side of this game, and I have a ton of love for Julius Randle in the next game, he's just not a priority for me. So like Matisse Thybulle is probably going to get the start here again, probably going to be tasked with guarding Kevin Durant for a lot of this game. But again, like Matisse Thybulle doesn't produce at all, like unless he's putting up 6 or 7 stocks, which he can certainly do, but I don't want to count on.
You don't want to rely on that. Yeah, exactly.
And like at 3-1, now we have the Pacers guys, and we can spend up a little bit more for some of these Brooklyn guys on the other side. So again, Philadelphia, not a priority, I think, for either of us, but this Brooklyn side priced up, but I think a lot of these guys are still in play. For me, Kevin Durant's just a lock. He projects much higher than anybody else in the slate, no matter what site you're on. So for me, I'm doing everything I can to get him into every single lineup tonight. I'm not playing around with the fade on KD. Where's he at? I want to say like he was just under 50%. Now he's vanished from the projections for me. Here he is. Yeah, okay, so right at 50%. Half the field's gonna just punt Durant tonight. Like they're just not gonna play him. I will lock him.
I mean, the thing is, we saw that last slate.
Yeah,
4
he
games,
was,
he was
60,
60%.
62. Yeah.
Kyle, nice note here. PrizePicks has Indy lines up right now. 17.5 for Levert, 12.5 for Turner, 11.5 for Duarte.
Pull that up real quick.
I am
You've also, I think these are updated a little bit. So I was looking at the fantasy scores over there too.
But there's no reason to not lock Durant at all in this game, no matter how many lineups you're playing. I just think you do it. So that's kind of where my head's at for Kevin Durant. Outside of him, like you obviously have the value guys. I think I am prioritizing them: David Duke, Kessler Edwards, Cam Thomas, then Nick Claxton. I have my concerns for Claxton in this matchup against Embiid, especially now with some value in the front court. I don't think you need to get there. So I don't think this is a slate where you need to go overboard again on Nets though.
We did just get the Nets starting lineup, and I'm going to go ahead and bump Justin Holiday because he's in the starting lineup.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, Duarte off the bench, Brad Wanamaker getting the start for Malcolm Brogdon. Okay. So Wanamaker, LeVert, Holiday, Sabonis, and Turner. I think Holiday at 4-2 now becomes a very strong value. I would not be surprised. I just gave my 90-second spiel on why I thought his minutes could be limited, but getting the start, I think he's good to go now, and we have to be fluid and adjust with the news that comes in. So, I think Brad Wanamaker, Justin Holiday, great values from that team. You can Jeremy Lamb. You can still Chris Duarte off the bench. That's probably going to help Duarte, to be honest, in terms of his usage. Maybe he can come in directly for Karis LeVert and kind of command that second unit in terms of shot attempts. All right, so the rest of Brooklyn, right? Like these guys are priced up. Maybe, I don't know, half the people that are listening to us right now hadn't heard of all these guys before last time Brooklyn took the court. Cam Thomas has been more in the discussion lately since he's had a role, but you would expect, I think, that David Duke Jr., Kessler Edwards get the start again here. Nick Claxton most likely going to be at the 5 opposite Joel Embiid. With those prices coming up, how are you prioritizing the other half of Brooklyn, which is all rookies?
I think I go Duke, Edwards. God damn it. We talked about it in the green room, and I'm really tempted to go Day'Ron Sharpe. I just don't think you need to.
Sure.
So I think I'd probably limit it to those two guards. Or I guess the big perk about David Duke, though, is his point guard or the guard forward eligibility. I think that's a huge plus on this slate. So he's still probably my number one priority than Kessler Edwards. I don't think Kessler Edwards is going to, like, Steve Nash wouldn't roll him out for 40 plus minutes and then just play him 18. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Cam Thomas, obviously, like everybody and their mother was on Cam Thomas last game. Only 22 minutes in that game where there was 260 points scored, and he went 2 for 10. With the price coming up, is obviously still tough to get to him. I don't expect him to shoot 20% and 0 for 4 from 3 again. Not surprised either if he gets, more into the mid to high 20s in minutes with this team remaining shorthanded. So I think he's like, that's your leverage, right? Out of him and Edwards and Duke Jr. Like, he's the most expensive. He shit the bed last game when everybody was on him. So I think going back to Cam Thomas is not a terrible idea in multiple lineups. I would rather get elsewhere, I think, in one lineup because of the other options in the 4K range. Obviously fine to play Duke Jr., Kessler Edwards. Both, right, played 40-plus minutes last time. Kessler Edwards, 43. David Duke didn't quite get there, 38 minutes for him, but contributed all across the box score and took 13 shots. So both of those guys really strong. And again, to kind of piggyback off what you said about Day'Ron Sharpe, this is a guy who's doesn't really have much of a chance like Nick Claxton to stop Joel Embiid, but is a fantastic fantasy producer. Anybody who played him, I'm sure the CBB guys played him a lot last year, and we certainly took advantage of some Day'Ron Sharpe in Summer League. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him play more than 13 minutes here, especially with, the elevated chance that a guy like Nick Claxton, Blake Griffin get into foul trouble. So I think Day'Ron Sharpe is another sneaky guy, sneaky value from this team. And we didn't really talk about Patty Mills, but at 6'6" on DK, he's still in play, but not a priority, obviously. He's going to play 40-something minutes. And that amount of time from Patty Mills, I think he's just kind of priced appropriately here at 6'6".
Yeah,
so
I think Patty Mills is a fine play. Certainly not one you need to get to. But again, a fine play. Profiles to me more of a cash game play.
Sure. Let's flip to the last two games here. 8 p.m. Eastern, the Knicks visiting the shorthanded Rockets. Let's start with the visiting Knicks. Both of these teams, I should say shorthanded Rockets, shorthanded Knicks as well. RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes, Kevin Knox, the new addition to the health and safety protocols, and Obi Toppin all out for this team. So you've got Julius Randle, 10K flat, Alec Burks, 7-1, Derrick Rose, 6-3. To me, I love Julius Randle. He's my second favorite spend up. Sabonis is getting close to, I think Sabonis probably the 2B for me now. And then Derrick Rose at 6'3", getting, probably 34 to 36 minutes here. Consistently a fantasy point per minute producer over the last 2 seasons. So I think he's a strong play. I still wouldn't touch Evan Fournier with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't Google his name either, but 29 minutes in the last game and 5.25 DK points in those 29 minutes. I think that's pretty much the absolute nut low for an Evan Fournier game. But what's the ceiling at this point? Is it even?
I don't know.
Is it even 6x on this price?
I don't know. It's scary how low his ceiling is right now.
Yeah.
That $80 million contract looks awful.
Yeah. Terrible.
Dear Lord. I just can't get there. My Knicks priority, number one on DraftKings, he's going to be the chalkiest, is Derrick Rose. I think the price discount off of Alec Burks is a nice one. On FanDuel, it is Alec Burks for 5.5. That's dumb. So I have 3 Knicks in my FanDuel lineup. Derrick Rose for 6.2, Alec Burks for 5.5, and Julius Randle for 8.7. All they're priced very economically. I think on DraftKings, I would go Rose, Randle, Burks. God, I don't want to think here.
Can't even finish the name.
I know. Probably Miles McBride, to be honest.
I was about to ask you about Miles because Kevin Knox now out of this rotation in the protocols. We already saw McBride get 20 minutes last game. So maybe upper 20s in minutes here for Miles McBride, and another guy that we played some in summer league to some good success. Dude is not afraid to shoot.
Not at all. And then you look at a potential blowout. If the Knicks do blow the Rockets team out, there's no one else to get minutes. So I do like Miles McBride. Like Jake Anderson said, this team is so thin.
Yeah, I think McBride is the one that I'm going to outside of Randle or Rose. Burke's just a little bit too expensive for me. He's not seeing the same type of fantasy production in this starting lineup as he was off the bench. And it doesn't help that Derrick Rose is playing so much alongside him now in this starting lineup. Randle and Rose are the 2 alphas in that 5. Alec Burks, 3rd at best. But flipping to this Houston side, obviously we talked about Christian Wood being ruled out after he was out, upgraded to questionable, now out for good. Kevin Porter Jr., obviously John Wall still out. Jalen Green also out. Daniel House rounds out the injury report here. Houston does get back Eric Gordon in this game. And so the most expensive guy on DraftKings is now Jae'Sean Tate at 6'5". What are your priorities here, and why is it Alperen Şengün?
Because he's the point per minute monster that we've seen for how long now. Şengün is my number one. My number 2 is Eric Gordon. His team backcourt specifically is very thin, 5'6" for the amount of shots that he's going to take. I think is a good bargain.
Yeah, and I think Jayshawn Tate kind of also fits into a similar category for me, where I think Tate and Gordon are probably going to be fairly low owned. Obviously, Şengün's going to pick up a ton of ownership. People probably still going to hang around a little bit on the Armani Brookses, maybe a little Garrison Matthews, Josh Christopher probably still in play here. But Jayshawn Tate, like the game that he almost cracked 70 DK points was the game where I think Eric Gordon was in, but Christian Wood, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr. were out, or Wood and Porter Jr. left early in that game. So again, not putting in the call for 69 very nice DraftKings points from Jayshawn Tate, but at 6'5", I think he's got some upside here at what should be pretty low ownership. So Şengün for me as the priority here, and then Eric Gordon and Jayshawn Tate, my secondary values, or maybe not values, but secondary plays from Houston. Did I lose Joe? Did we lose me? Somebody tell me in the chat. I think it's just me now because now Joe's gone. So
yeah,
hey, there he is,
making a guest appearance here. It looks like Joe is going to reconnect on us here. So
okay. He taunted the power gods earlier in the show, and now paying the price for it.
Yep. Of course, he's only here to fill in for Kyle, who is also having power problems.
Yeah. So Beast kindly reminding me that I need to update the Houston rankings because Christian Wood was ruled out 10 minutes ago. Yeah, Joe confirming he just lost power. So looks like it's going to be me taking everybody up to lock for the last 14 minutes here. So I'll continue to vamp like the professional that I am as I update these Houston rankings. Again, Beast, I really appreciate you pointing that out to me. Sometimes can get lost in the shuffle while I'm conversing with my good buddy Joe here. So we'll update Şengün. Obviously, he's going to a 10 for me. I love Şengün even at that 5.5 price tag, going up to a 10 as well on Superdraft, where he's still 1.85x. Wrote him up in the Superdraft article today. Jayshawn Tate getting a little bit of a boost for me, as well as Eric Gordon here. Eric Gordon also getting a bump on Superdraft, where he is 1.7. Garrison Matthews, I think, going to stay right where he is for the time being. I think we're good here. All right, Rockets ranks are updated. Yeah, Joe hopping in the chat with his cellular device. So that's we never like to see that, but just a gloomy day here in Central Texas. I guess I'll knock on wood. I won't tempt the power gods either. Let's go through this last game here, and then I'll jump. I know I've been letting the questions build up. I'll try to get to everything here in the last 12 minutes. Washington visiting the Phoenix Suns. The Wizards 9-point road underdogs here on a back-to-back after playing the Kings last night. Much different story here on the other side of the ball, taking on the Suns. But we've got Spencer Dinwiddie out for this team, taking a rest on the back-to-back. Kyle Kuzma is back. I guess it was a false positive, or he, maybe just got 2 negative tests. I'm not 100% clear on the protocols, but he played last night, played 33 minutes, didn't shoot it well. But I think that Beal is fine at 9K. I like him on Superdraft a good bit too at his 1.2x multiplier. Kyle Kuzma, a strong play at 6-1 with Dinwiddie out. Not a priority lock it in play for me, but I like him just fine at 6-1. Trez Harrell 5-3, Dan Gafford at 4-8. They're both fine. Like neither of those guys stick out a lot to me. I know Kyle had been harping on the Trez Harrell play with Kuzma out. Now with Kuzma back, Trez, wasn't able to take advantage of that usage bump in the 2 games that Kuzma missed. And then with Dinwiddie out, you're probably going to see, I don't think we have that lineup yet, but I would assume Aaron Holiday gets the start for Dinwiddie. I think he has started every game that Dinwiddie has rested this season. Raul Neto also in play as a value, but with the Pacers values that opened up, I'd rather spend up on those 4K Nets guys. Any of the values we talked about in New York and Houston, tough for me to get to either Aaron Holiday or Raul Neto in this game. If you wanted a KCP, like especially in multiple lineups, like that's fine. But none of these cheapy wizards standing out to me. On the other side, though, Chris Paul up to 9.7. I can't get there tonight with the, I'll pay $300 more for Julius Randle 10 out of 10 times. DeAndre Ayton at 8.8. I mean, he's got a great matchup. And obviously, we saw the I think it was overtime against Portland 2 nights ago, played 45 minutes. So that makes sense, but got 40 minutes in regulation and 35 the game before that against San Antonio. So, I mean, like in close games, Monty Williams has shown that he's going to play DeAndre Ayton mid to high 30s in minutes. But the price is coming up with that. So neither of those guys stand out to me. Mikal Bridges at 5.8. I think he's sub 5K on FanDuel. So Bridges much more attractive to me on FanDuel. Cameron Payne, Cameron Johnson, even Jay Crowder, all those guys' prices slowly creeping upwards. Again, overtime helped some of these guys out last time against Portland. If you have to get there, Cam Johnson, I'm fine with. I think I'd prefer Cameron Payne. You're going to get the start from Jay Crowder, but he has not been great from a fantasy perspective this season. So even with Devin Booker out and in a good matchup here, I'm not really targeting a ton from this Phoenix side. Landry Shamet probably going to get the start again here, play mid-20s in minutes. You really need him to knock down 3 or 4 threes to get you there at 3.6 because he's not going to contribute a ton peripherally. And then JaVale McGee only saw 8 minutes in that Portland game. I would expect him to get back to his normal, 15 or 16 minutes, but at 4.5, not a priority for me on this slate. And you guys know how I love to get ownership on the late night hammer. So not a ton standing out to me from that last game. But, I'll just in the ranks, you can see like Ayton, Campaign, Cam Johnson, Landry Shamet, my 4 8s on the Phoenix side, and then in the ranks on the Washington side, acceptable to play Beal, Kuzma, Harrell, and then Holiday and Neto. But again, with I prefer that Pacers value, especially Wanamaker starting, Justin Holiday starting. We talked about the Houston guys, etc. So 8 minutes to go here until lock. I'm going to hit the chat and also build my Moment Ranks play lineup while I talk to you guys, trying to get in there and get me some dapper dollars before that rare pack drop next week. Let me scroll up here, see where I left off. Ayton or Cade? It's Cade for me, actually. Josh, I think that, just on DraftKings, I believe that's where you're playing. And even if you're playing on Superdraft, I prefer Cade there, but you get the triple-double bonus on DraftKings. I like his upside, even in a matchup where they are, I think, 9.5-point underdogs last time I checked. Wanamaker or Tice on DK? It's Wanamaker for me. It's tough for me to get to Tice. Even like it doesn't seem like they're ever going to give this guy full minutes. And Houston are home dogs here. Only 5 points last time I updated, but what's the minute ceiling on Tice at this point of the season? Like 24? It's been a while since he touched the court in the fourth quarter, I feel like. So yeah, it's going to be Wanamaker for me. I don't remember who it was, like must have been a year and a half ago when I touted Brad Wanamaker pretty heavily on a slate. I think he was with the Hornets then, and he absolutely shit the bed. So I don't know if whoever remembers that, shout out to you for hanging in there. Does Şengün get a boost in the super draft rate? Yeah, so I hadn't updated yet, T-Panther. So those Rockets rankings are updated. Duke or Diallo? That's a great question, Josh. I think it's Duke just because he's probably going to nearly double up Diallo in minutes. Certainly, I would be surprised if he plays less than 10 more minutes than Diallo does. So it's David Duke Jr. for me. Wanamaker over Tice? Yes, sir. Can you play Kessler and David Duke together? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both guys played close to 40 minutes last game. Even if you take 5 minutes away from each of them, you're getting 34 minutes of David Duke and 38 minutes of Kessler Edwards at a mid to low 4K price tag. Totally can play them together. Andy McBride love. Yeah, we talked about him when we talked Knicks, Anthony. So I think he's a very solid value play at his 3.5 on DK. Can you play Tyson Şengün together in single entry? You can. I just think there's better ways to go. Again, I think the ceiling is a bit muted on a guy like Daniel Tice. McBride and Şengün pair really well together in case of blowout. That's a great point, man. Freaking Alex, man. I feel like every week, like I see Alex say something that is just extremely sharp. So yeah, McBride and Şengün for those playing the blowout. Alex making the point, pairing really well together in the case that the game breaks that way. Everybody telling me that I was the one left. I appreciate you guys. Can we talk about, Şengün played a little over 9 first half. Yeah, I just, again, who's going to play the 5? Are we running Tice out there for more than 24 minutes? Because if not, Şengün's getting the rest. There's nobody else in this roster you can play at the 5 against Mitch and Nerlens, who are likely going to split 48 minutes. And even if it's 5-6 minutes of Julius Randle at center, it doesn't take me off Şengün at all. He's too productive. I would be surprised if he plays less than 24 minutes, to be honest. And like, what extra body's coming back from the Rockets? Eric Gordon. To me, that doesn't affect the center rotation one bit. That's going to hurt Josh Christopher. It's going to hurt KJ Martin. It's going to hurt Armani Brooks. Claxton and Cunningham or Turner and Şengün, single entry on DK. That's close, Romulus. Give me the second one. Şengün side. Favorite center, 4,200 or below. Probably Claxton. Sharp's really close as well. Like, if you want to get weird with it in a tournament, man, it's Daron Sharp. Yeah, we know the Texas power grid. It's shocking that I'm the one that's left with power. 1.3x on Ayton on Superdraft. I do like that T-Panthers. I would rather Şengün at 1.85. Ayton would probably be my second favorite, though, on this slate. I don't think I can get to Claxton at 1.75 over Ayton, Claxton and Payne, or Duke and Bay. Give me the second one, P-Buck. Only one net on Superdraft. Bad. No, it's not terrible. Those guys' multipliers came up. I'm not leaving Superdraft without KD, though. We'll say that. Where am I going to go here? There we go. All right. Duke or Edwards? Give me Duke. More productive in college. Kessler Edwards, like, I don't remember their prices off the top of my head on FanDuel. Kessler Edwards is, I think, despite what happened last game, a little bit more liable to pick up a bunch of stocks, and on on Superdraft on FanDuel where those are worth more. Maybe that's where you go. Blake Griffin viable? Yeah, sure. He just doesn't stand out to me. Like, he's washed, man. Like, he's gonna get 30 minutes, but at best he's getting you 30 DK points, and like, that's fine. We'll live with that at the end of the day, but I think that's like the best you're getting out of him tonight. Duke or Holiday? Give me Duke. Where's my Şengün? Christopher or Holiday? Justin Holiday, sir. Nets have 8 bodies again. I actually think, like, in something we didn't really bring up, and I apologize that I didn't until now. Didn't they sign Langston Galloway? Not that he's going to come in and play a bunch of time, but, like, that's another body. Those guys all still project really well, regardless of, Langston Galloway playing more than 18 minutes would be eyebrow raising, to be honest. Duke or Justin Holiday? Give me Duke. All right. Cleared the queue of questions. Shamit or Howell Neto? That's actually closer for me than you might think, but I'll lean Neto. Pistons are starting Diallo again, Bay at the 4. So no surprises there. Thanks, Josh. You're too kind, buddy. It's not that hard. I bullshit with you guys like literally every single day. So, well, we're at lock. I just had one of my buddies say, bruh, to me. So if you're tuned in, Jack, what's that about? Why am I getting the why am I getting the Randy Marsh nutsack gif? Anybody seen the new South Park special? I think it was only on Paramount Plus. I need to watch that. Getting tweets for the EuroLeague primer tomorrow. I miss my EuroLeague guys. Anybody who wants to play EuroLeague, let me know. I found out about the shadow chat. You guys were holding out on me ever since I stopped being able to play. Oh boy, Tyrese Maxey ruled out, and that's why we stay on the air, folks. All right, well, get your Maxey out. Maybe run to your nearest sports book. See what you can find. We're going to help your, Seth Curry, your Shake Milton. Shake Milton will get the start. The Nets are going to start Patty Mills, David Duke, Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin, Nick Claxton. That was the same 5 as last game, right? Or did Kessler Edwards start for Claxton? Let me pull that up. That was the Toronto game. Don't fail me now, Internet. Come on now. We're trying here, folks. Here we go. Yeah, Kessler was off Kessler played 40-some minutes off the bench. And damn. All right. Well, we'll talk about that, Jack. We'll talk after. So Shake Milton, Seth Curry, who I don't know, did we have Seth Curry confirmed in before this tweet? Milton Curry, Danny Green, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid. So Matisse Thybulle to the bench. And now it's getting fun, everybody. Thanks, no pressure. One of my favorite gifts right there. DFS Dan, Payne or Curry? It's Curry now. It is Curry now for me. But Shake over either of them. You're saving some salary there. Let me make sure I update these ranks. Get Maxey out of there. Sixers are looking a little thin. I agree, Tyreek. Shake's up at 5K still. Damn. Yeah, he's strong still. Gonna play a lot. Need to add somebody here, maybe. They just don't have anybody else, right? Like maybe Isaiah Joe sees mid-teens in minutes, played 11 minutes last time off the bench. We'll put Isaiah Joe back in the rankings. That didn't work. There we go. Shooting guard. And not a ton of interest, but irresponsible. Not the rank. Isaiah Joe. Braden, you're funny, man. Milton over Griffin for utility. Yes, sir. Sorry, Sharkbait. A couple minutes left you hanging there. Herm, what did they remove Maxey from the starting lineup, or did he not start last game? I feel like we would have made a bigger deal if he didn't start the last game. That was against Memphis, right? They got run off the court. Yeah, Maxey played. They just pulled all the starters. Oh no. I'm fucking up. My bad. They played last night. He started last night. Played 42 minutes. Maybe that's why he's sitting. Yeah, Herm say you'll look it up. You should know. I should know too, dude. Scared me there asking if Maxey didn't start last game. Yeah, Shake over Cam Thomas now, Tommy. Good to see Tommy. Haven't seen Tommy in a couple days. Milton or Gordon? That's actually close, man. You're saving what, 600 by going to Shake? I think if you're not upgrading significantly with the $600 savings, then I think it's Eric Gordon for me. Shake is a very good play now at. Oh, yeah, thanks, Thomas. I do have a hard out tonight because this is America and football is king. Great game tonight, though, right on paper at least. Chargers, Chiefs. How about that AFC playoff race, too? But, yeah, man, Eric Gordon just a little bit higher upside, in my opinion. Shake's still sharing, now he's sharing the court for the majority of his minutes with Embiid, with Tobias, and with Seth. So it's Eric Gordon for me, again, unless you can really upgrade with that extra cash. Doug Dubs, Isaiah Joe, Wanamaker, or Tice? It's Wanamaker for me. Wanamaker, then Tice, then Isaiah Joe. Friends don't let friends play Bassy. Goddamn right, Anthony. Who said that? What was that? With Tyreek, are you bringing up Bassy? Yeah, Charles Bassey for all the money. No. I don't think so. If you're going to play, dude, just play Daron Sharp. Come on. Rose or Curry? Derrick Rose still. Curry's very shot dependent. He's more in play now because Maxey's out of that lineup, but you need Seth to hit 4 threes at the very and then pick up some peripherals to really get on top of that price here. Projections are updated, everybody. Let's see what we got here, Kyle. Then we'll wrap it up and we'll spend the rest of the night here in the Discord. McBride or Joe? Give me Miles McBride. And it's not that close. I guess there's a little bump for Danny Green, Matisse Thybulle in the projections here, unless I just kind of missed their projections earlier. I got you, Jack. Steelers fan, what up, my brother? Claxton or Thomas? Shake or Shake and Sharp, Claxton and Thomas. I mean, if this is a large field GPP now, Shake and Sharp. I think regardless, I'm on Shake and Sharp, actually, man. Feels safer, feels like a little bit higher upside, just a little bit. Like Claxton and Thomas should get their time. But we saw Nash give Thomas 22 minutes the other night. Not shocked if he takes a good chunk of, a little bit away from Duke, a little bit away from Edwards, but Shake and Sharp for me. Kuzma and Rose, or Mills and Harrell. Give me the first one. I'm leaning that first one, Kuzma and Rose. There's Mr. Gershon in the chat. Şengün Edwards, Shake and Matthews. First one, my friend, Şengün and Edwards. Everybody let Charge Up know. Kessler, Edwards, KCP, or Danny Green. Tell them what you think. It's Kessler for me. Sam. Tyreek, Shake and Sharp sounds like one of those nifty appliances they would sell in QVC. You're not wrong. What would that be? Neto, Kispert, not Kispert. Fuck that. Excuse me, but no way. Neto, then Tybalt, then Kispert. But to be honest, it's either Neto or find somebody else for me. Tybalt coming off the bench. All right, everybody. If you're still with me over this last half hour of solo rambling, maybe you're tuning in on the YouTube, on the Twitter feed, and maybe you're not subscribed to FTN Daily. So if you've enjoyed any of this stream, previous streams that you've tuned into, and you're not yet signed up, I encourage you to come check us out. The NBA package here includes the state-of-the-art optimizer, covers every slate every day, proprietary player and ownership projections from Kyle Murray and Alex Blickel, tons of tools here, NBA on-off splits, the advanced EVP, just to name a few. The FTN Daily Premium Discord channel, where I've been answering all these questions the last half hour. And I mean, when it's not crunch time here leading up to lock, I mean, we're in there all day. You get the rankings, right? Myself, Fast Eddie Fear, all that stuff every single day. The pricing here starts at $49.99 per month, but you can use that code that's scrolling right below me here, FTN TV. That's going to get you 15% off every month of your subscription. And that every month means every month through the end of the NBA Finals. It doesn't just apply to your first month here. So again, that code is FTN TV. It gets you 15% off every month of your subscription. And when you do come join us, get in that Discord, tag me, tag EZB. Let us know that you're here. We would love to have you. I appreciate all you guys in the chat sticking with me, all the kind words. We'll see if you guys have the same kind words if we don't do well tonight. I feel like we've been getting into a little bit of a groove. The Drew, Şengün, Jokic 10s yesterday from Eddie. Those were great. So, but man, I really hope that we get some more balanced slates in terms of the number of games going forward. Maybe I'll take a peek at the schedule here once we go off air. So again, appreciate all you guys sticking with me. I appreciate Joe Metz for hanging in there in that windstorm up there in Wisconsin. We hope everybody, Joe and otherwise, is staying safe. Shout out producer Thomas behind the glass, making everything happen. Good luck, everybody. Have a good night. Enjoy the basketball games. Enjoy the football games. Head over to the NFL stream if you're an NFL subscriber. Those guys starting here in about 2 minutes. Again, good luck tonight. And as always,
let's get these beans.